coffee.
Well, if no one's gonna drink this, maybe I'll just... Ugh, that's terrible. That's...
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Brian on Pop Culture Minefield. Is it really Thursday morning already? My God, that week went quick. So cheers. Enjoy your coffees. This is the big one. And also before we get into the formalities, obviously, once again, a big thank you to our sponsors, Fuel Up for hydration. Information in the details below. Try Fuel Up. There's a code there and everything, and they have formulas for work, rest, and play. And at the top of the hour, there will obviously be a little advert break, as we always have, and there'll be more information on Fuel Up there. And check out the links below. So, welcome everybody to the show. I can see the great Mikey Mexican Iron Man is in the chat today. Hola, good to see you, buddy. And amongst other wonderful people, we have Andy Morrow. We have D. Bud Martin, the great D. Bud Martin. Good to see you, sir. We have the wonderful and lovely Davina Duckworth, who's going to hit us with the facts, just the facts. Sketches of Spain, exactly. We have Mikey, Mexican Iron Man, of course. Christian Delorme, my good buddy. Bonjour to you too. Great to see you, buddy. Penny is here. And obviously we'll be checking in with everybody as we go. Lots of chat, we hope. But yes, today we welcome back to the show our great friends, Wilko and Mal.
Hi, guys.
All the way from España. So let's have a rousing chorus of E Viva España.
Hey, ¿cómo está?
The sun is shining in the sky. Sing Viva España. Britsy. So yeah, good to see you guys. You're looking well. The sunshine suits you both.
Yeah, well, I've been here 3 weeks already, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We're on the 29th, and Mal just came in, and his friends not far from where my friend's staying. So we drove today to do this and swimming, trying to get 2 weeks over easy, have a couple of pints.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about Brits in Spain soon, but welcome to the show, guys. Looking forward to talking with you. It's been a little while, so it's great to catch up with you. Just before we proceed any further, though, I will bring in my esteemed panelists and friends, and you guys know, of course, very well. First of all, Dustin, Keto Simple.
Hey, Dustin, how you doing, buddy?
Good to see you guys. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, been a long, lonely.
That beard's the boss.
It is, isn't it?
Love it.
Yeah. How many raccoons died to make that beard? That's what I'm saying.
Love it, mate. Love it.
If you just turned it upside down, though, you'd have.
Yeah, right. You use a pinata.
Look at the hair on those guys. I mean, you're older than us. Look at
I'm
here.
71. I'm 71, 73, 74.
Oh, it's fucking incredible. I mean, it must be all that beer and drugs and sex. I don't know what it is.
That's it. It's good for you. It's good for you. All that
Rock and-
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. This is
Finally,
what keeps you young.
rock and roll keeps you young. Exactly.
It does.
Yeah. But also, before we proceed any further, welcome our great friend, John. How are you, buddy?
Doing
Hey,
good.
John.
Hey, John, how are you, mate?
Hey, speaking
Great to see you guys again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he wants to join the stream, but we'll add him anyway. Our buddy and producer of the show, Martin. How are you, mate?
Hey, Martin.
Hey, good morning. Hey, Wilko. Hey, Mal. How are you today?
Yeah,
see
really
everyone.
good. I've got a little son. I got burnt the first day here. Typical English. Went out in the midday sun. Burnt.
Well, it's funny you should say that, but we have a photograph of you, which has been sent to us. This is a picture of you, Mal, on the beach, I believe.
Oh, no, that's me. Yeah, but
Well-
that's very typical fucking English. Typical English.
Passed out on the beach, drunk.
Burning.
Fucking classic.
Burning.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You see, you opened yourself up to
You
that.
like
'Cause that-
lobsters. How do you know when we cook, we turn red? Turn them over.
yeah. And then you turn red, and then you peel, and then you go back to white again.
Yeah. And then repeat.
Yeah. We have a super chat already from our wonderful friend, my great buddy, Christian Delorme, $6.99 Canadian. Thank you, Christian. Speaking of Brits, you guys have been North Americanized. Do you now drink your beers cold?
Yes.
I'll drink them anywhere they come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, come.
So cold beer,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really cold for me.
Cheers.
However, you must cheers. Yeah, you're siesta time there already, isn't it? So you're. But
No, siesta's gone. Yeah. 5 o'clock. They
5 o'clock.
They'll be
Yeah.
up in another hour. They work from 6 till 7.
but
or
speaking
6 till 8.
to Christian's point, do you guys remember drinking warm beer? Beer like real ale that you would put on top of the fireplace, the mantelpiece to warm
Yeah,
up.
that is like beer, not lager beer, real ale.
Yeah. I remember going to a lot of bars.
That you do drink to get the full flavour and benefits from it. You do drink, not warm, but as it comes. You wouldn't chill it. You like certain red wines, you wouldn't chill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I remember going to pubs in the countryside in, say, Shropshire and places like that, and it would be the old-fashioned pub with a big fireplace, wood fire or whatever,
Yeah.
and they'd put the pints on the top of the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There would usually be twigs and branches in the beer. It was so real, You-
Yeah. Did it all the time.
But that's it. But like beer like this, what we're drinking now, yeah, you drink it chilled. We're in the sun. You drink it chilled.
I don't have a taste for warm beer anymore. It's got to be
No,
cold.
no, me neither. I never did like it. I never
Yeah.
did like warm beer. There's a perception that English drink warm beer.
No, that's long gone. It may back in the day, maybe, but not anymore.
Back in the day, yes.
In the
Unless-
60s, when we started.
Unless you wear a tweed jacket and smoke a pipe, maybe, I don't know.
No, but in the 60s is when I started drinking. 15 years old, 13, 14, whatever it was. And it'd be like this big mug, which was a massive pint. And I'd get about 5, 6
jug,
down. And
yeah.
then it'd be like, oh, God, what am I drinking?
Yeah.
It's like drinking treacle, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's
Bleep, 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 bleep.
that. We didn't hear that.
I didn't hear
There's
it.
nothing to be heard. So I need to play Christian a clip because we traditionally play clips to thank people. Here's one.
I believe, Ken, that the balance shall tip in the favor of culture.
So little clip, and Christian is doing it again. He has super chatted us again, $5 Canadian. Thank you, buddy. See, the economy in Ottawa must be doing well. As a French Canadian, I drink my beer at 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't know what that is. 35 Fahrenheit. How
That's 3 degrees above freezing.
right. So and that's the thing
You
is
know,
that is
funny.
the
We
temperature
work in
in.
centigrade here anyway, so
Yeah, that's
we're
the
not
typical
Fahrenheit
temperature in
But
Canada
I remember,
anyway.
I'm old enough to remember Fahrenheit, and that 32 degrees is freezing, and so
Yeah.
35 is 3 degrees above freezing point.
So it'll be stuck
that's
to your
chilled.
lip. It'll be stuck to your lip.
Yeah, but
It's
Canadian,
like 1.5 Celsius.
that's a normal summer day,
nice.
isn't it? 35 degrees.
Well, that's right. That's a Canadian normal summer's day in Canada. So you just leave the beer outside, you're fine. So we'll play.
It's in England. It's freezing in Canada.
Yeah,
It's sunny
so
in Spain.
Sunny
it
in
is,
Spain.
and we're going to talk about Spain in just a second. I'm going to play Christian another clip from our massive collection. Let's give him this one.
Looks like Chuck's taken old One Eye to the optometrist. Jeez.
Those two remind me of you, Wilko and Mal. Those two guys.
Well, I don't get it.
Oh, if you played the old boys off the Muppet Show, I would get that.
Oh, Waldorf and Stadler. Yeah, yeah.
You always play Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men.
Bill and
Oh,
Ben,
the Flower Pot Men. You know, I don't know if anyone watching this show, other than maybe Andy Morrow, who's British, would understand what the Flower Pot Men is, but it was the most psychedelic, subversive children's show in history.
Yeah.
Funny.
So
that and the Magic Roundabout.
Magic Roundabout, which technically was French, of course, but these were subversive shows for kids in the 60s.
Yeah.
The Flower Pot Men were two guys who could barely speak, and they were called Flower and Pot, the Flower Pot Men.
Yeah.
And they could barely talk, and they looked like they were out of their minds most of the time.
They had a flower between them called Weed.
Weed. Could you get any?
Little weed. Little weed.
Could you get any more overt messaging than that? You know, I mean, it wasn't like they were hiding it.
I mean, we should go, I'm a weed. And we go, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's right, yeah. And not that we're on this show, we wouldn't condone such activity, but we know what goes on.
No, we're just talking past tense.
British children's shows, like, and the Magic Roundabout, which was, again, most psychedelic children's show ever.
Yeah.
Just
the snail and
the Dylan, the rabbit with the guitar,
Dylan, who was this laid back kind of animal type person. That was called Dylan. It was obviously based on Bob Dylan, I would think.
I think so, yeah. But I'm going to do an entire show on those shows one day because they're just so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are in España. Can you? I mean, what's it like there today? How are you feeling?
Well, first of all, it's over 100 degrees. And I used to do Spain with the tremolos a lot in the 70s, and we could deal with it. I can't deal with this stuff. I mean, it's just too much. So Annie lives in Cox, C-O-X. It's an hour and a half.
Glad you clarified that.
Yeah, C-O-X. That's why I thought I'd better say that, you know. So it took us an hour and a half to get here. But with GPS, it took us 2.5 hours. So, you know, so we just met a good friend of Mal called Phil, and this is his wonderful house on his wonderful computer because mine won't work. But yeah, I mean, I came here in '73. When did you come here?
Probably the first time I ever visited Spain was with Vinegar Joe, Robert Palmer, Elkie Brooks. We played at a club outside of Barcelona called Sitges.
Okay.
You know, which is
it's a stone throw from Barcelona.
Yeah, and it's party central now. It was probably building up to be back then. When we played this nightclub, say nightclub, because we didn't finish until 2 a.m.
But it was where all the high-end English people went back in the 70s. Blessed to work for the Tremolos, and we used to go and be bass.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's Elkie. Remember Elkie?
I remember.
I love Elkie Brooks.
Some good pictures with me of Elkie.
I'm so jealous that you got to know Elkie Brooks. Never mind Robert Palmer, but Elkie Brooks.
Well, Elkie, I got to know her very well.
Especially she was one of my first crushes as a kid.
Mine
Yeah.
too.
Brian, we've got to talk off screen, mate.
No, you're just going to make me even more jealous. But yeah, so you toured. So you both done tours in Spain and you to mention that
I've done very little work here. That was the first time I ever came here. I think the next time was probably in the couple of years later with Wishbone Ash. We played in a bull ring.
Oh, right. Yeah, there'll be a lot of gigs there.
I may have been here with Genesis in Madrid, I think. And definitely with Pink Floyd, we played La Calderón, which is one of the big football stadiums in Madrid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been in the Barcelona football stadium. That's that place. That's huge.
Yeah. So, but that's about it for me in visiting Spain. I've never been on holiday here.
Oh, is this the first time you've been on holiday?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the first for me.
He's on a gig, but back to me, the Tremolos used to do a month at a time. So they had their shit together, those guys. And we went to Barcelona and we would drive 2 hours this way, 2 hours that way, 2 hours that way. And come to these little villages and it'd be sold out, like 1,000, 1,500 people. Do the gig, we drive back to Barcelona, a day off, next day, go somewhere else, And I think you've seen the photographs I posted with the Tremolos. And that was in Sitges.
Sitges, I've heard of it.
Yeah, same place. I mean, it was a small beach. I'll never forget that. And it was very high end. I'm talking about megabucks.
I've heard of Sitges,
where the rich people used to hang out back in the day,
Yeah, before it became
the beautiful people, the rich and famous.
I've got to get something before I forget.
Before it became swamped with pasty Brits.
Yeah, exactly. Because before it came really commercialized.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Mal. I haven't really been to Spain much other than one trip, one holiday. I've been there once or twice, just briefly, but one holiday, and it was Barcelona. It is a fantastic city.
Yeah.
And then up the road there's the town. I can't remember the town that's got the Dali Museum. It's just up the road from there, and it's brilliant as well. If you ever get to go there, Figueres, I think it's called.
I must have been in Madrid with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, because I remember doing this square, which is a mile round, but if you walk around it, it's about a mile. This square, and and it's just full of bars, and we were doing the Chunder Mile. So you go in the bar, do it half a beer, a small beer, go to the next bar, another small beer. No, non-stop. You just walked, drank your beer, left. Next one. I can't remember completing that. That might be in Barcelona, though, I think.
A square mile of bars is a lot of bars once you get going.
My memories are vague of being in Spain, because of stuff like that. I've been here doing Torremolinos, the bull ring in Torremolinos. That's
a place that when
songs written about them,
He's
got his Barca t-shirt.
I've got a Barca jersey as well from the time I was there. The Torremolinos is one of these places that Brits first went to when they'd started these package tours, and it became a real trope in movies. Brits go there, they create Britain there because it's British bars with British food.
British bars, British food, but with sun, with sun shining.
With sunshine, yeah. Now, I actually have a clip from a movie to illustrate this, so bear with me while I play this.
Here, I can't eat this foreign muck. It'll upset my tummy.
Ben, don't show me up, please.
Steak and kidney bud, chips and beans.
That is the trouble with you. Always has been. You won't try anything new. That's the whole point of coming abroad, to find out how the other people live. Cod and chips for me, if I may, and 2 slices of bread and butter, and a nice pot of tea for 2.
Si, senora.
Brilliant.
That's it. That sums it up. That really sums it up, Brian.
Steak and kidney food. Arthur Millard.
Arthur Millard. Yeah.
That's and I love the way she puts the posh accent on when she's ordering. Cod and chips.
She's ordering something special. Cod and chips, please.
That is from a movie called Three for All, which is this crappy old British comedy that I found when I'm preparing for a show on Monday with Graham Bonnet.
Oh, okay.
And he's in that movie in 1975. He's in the band. It's about a fake band or a band that's trying to make it called Billy Beethoven, and he's the singer in the band. And I'm sure he's going to be embarrassed when I show clips from that. But
well, Graham Bonnet, my wife used to work in the office that used to handle Graham Bonnet in Wardour Street. When he had an Old English sheepdog that was vegetarian. So say hello from Sandy, my wife.
Will do.
Graham might not remember her, but he had the Old English sheepdog at the time, and he used to bring that into the office, and it was vegetarian.
It's the same as McCartney's dogs.
Yeah.
He's made them vegetarian.
Which is wrong. It's not good for them. It's not good for them. All the vets say it's not good for them.
It's not natural. But it's not about that. It's about the human.
Steak and kidney pudding pie, mate.
Yeah, give us a steak and kidney pudding.
Yeah,
exactly.
You ask them what they'd order.
Chips
steak
and
kidney
beans.
pudding.
There you go.
Chips and beans.
Chips and beans. Yeah.
I think we have an Indian tonight. No?
I had beans on toast yesterday because
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So you guys, it's like everywhere else. Spain is there, and you toured, but it was just like you're passing through.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I never ever went back. Never went back. I mean, it was like, and I remember this little place in this village, and it was selling seafood. It was brilliant. And Alan and Len Hawks are going, Wilko, get over here. You're going to try octopus and it's liquid. I'm going, you can suck my ear. And I'm not doing that. It was the best thing I ever ate. I was like, that's muck, typical English.
Calamari.
That time, it's bloody muck. And I was like, oh, man.
Well, it was liquid though. It was like
it was in the octopus's liquid.
Right.
Ink,
So I got to go to Dustin here because he's got the Kate with Simple channel. Come on, Dustin. Is octopus on your rotation of menus?
Yeah, you can eat them. Yeah, we've got some.
That's squid, yeah.
Squid, octopus. Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to eat tonight is octopus tentacles. They grill them on the barbecue. Sardines and grilled octopus. That's me tonight.
They're good too.
Sardines I can handle, but I've never been a calamari fan. But
calamari and octopus are different.
Oh, they are.
Calamari is the squid. Octopus is octopus.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm not that discerning. They're all wriggly, soft, wriggly things.
I don't suppose you get much where you live, Brian.
No, we're pretty far from the ocean here.
You know what I mean?
But with where Annie lives in Cox, COX, we go to the you go to like Ralph's, their thing of Ralph's, there's a whole section of this amazing fish that they just caught that day. And it's everything you'd imagine. And the Spanish love it. They go in there and they're just ordering. You could tell they're going to just get it tonight. Typical European. Boom, they're going to have it. 2 days later, let's go back and get some more.
Yeah.
They never overbuy.
If you're in Spain on the coast,
you
eat fish.
Yeah. And fresh.
Fish. On the because that's
caught that day.
Fresh. They don't eat it any other way than fresh.
So when you mentioned sellout crowds in little villages, Mal, but I mean, in your experience back to the 70s and beyond, were the Spanish as keen on British rock or American rock as everybody else? Was it different?
I think at the time they were probably just more curious. They'd heard the names and seen stuff, because there wasn't the media outlets that there is today. So they didn't know. They'd heard the names. They might have seen it in the newspapers or on some teen magazine. And thought, I'll go and check them out. They were curious. And a bit like going to Italy, 90% of the audience, they were brothers and sisters. Or if they were couples, they brought the sister along with them as chaperone. The girls couldn't go on their own.
Right.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Still that traditional. Yeah.
Very much so. Italy and Spain. There was never loads of screaming teenage girls.
Does that mean if you guys managed to hit it off with one of those girls that you had to sleep with her brother too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
Yeah, but that doesn't make me a bad person, Brian.
That's what we call a threesome.
Because they had to chaperone them all the way. I mean,
yeah, they had to see what was happening.
All the way. I see what you did there, Brian.
Yeah, you were willing to learn.
Well, as I said back in 73, I know it was 73, I was amazed because, the beautiful chicks everywhere and sold out. I mean, Tremlos was a pop band, basically, But they would sing along with every one of the songs. They knew all the songs,
Yeah.
And hanging out afterwards, there was no hanging out for us because we had to get the breakdown and get the truck. The time we did that, there were about 5 or 6 people left at the bar, and it was just like, I've got a 2-hour drive home, see you later. But it wasn't really male-female groupie backstage type of stuff.
No, definitely none of that.
None of that.
Too traditional.
To experience the music. They came along to experience the music. An established couple would bring the sisters, along with the little sister. Come with us, we go on there, we'll chaperone you.
Interesting, yeah.
It's all very straight,
It's actually quite pleasant, though. It would be a pleasant change. People that were there to hear the music, not necessarily get hammered and pick up someone.
Yeah. It was very frustrating if you were a 21-year-old and there was these stunning Italian beauties in front of you, and if you or Spain, Spanish beauties. And if you spoke to them, their brother was going to come and slap you on the back of the head.
Yeah, that's right.
It was very frustrating.
I know that you've talked about Italy before, particularly with Van der Graaf Generator, and I know Genesis in their early days. These bands were hugely popular in Italy. They had a progressive rock leanings there for some reason. I don't know about Spain. Did Spain have a particular flavor of Western rock or British rock that they liked?
I'm sure they did, but it's like I never saw it.
I think they were all more pop oriented.
Pop, yeah.
I saw the pop, and as I said,
in the early days, I think they were more pop oriented.
Yeah, I mean, in the 70s, having 1,500 people at your little gig, was pretty big.
Bands must have loved touring there then.
Oh, no, they loved it. I mean, they made so much money, and we go into this story I just told the guys tonight, and it was like, would you like to come to Sidges for 2 more days? And we had to get it back to Kent to this farm we were doing another gig, and we're like, well, we could do it. Yeah, 2 more days, So, of course, you go to the truck and the battery's burned to death, with the heat, because it wasn't under a tree and all that stuff. But it was like, doing Spain for me was brilliant because I love architecture. It was like these little villages, and remember the 70s. I mean, I flew in yesterday from England and it's just packed. And I just drove past, is it Benidorm?
Yeah.
I didn't think Benidorm, and it looked like Vegas.
It looked like, it does. Yeah, I just drove past it a couple of days ago.
I mean, it's horrible.
And it looks like...
It looks like Vegas.
Yeah,
I know, and it's lost something. It's lost something.
High-rise buildings.
Because in the 70s, as you're talking about, it would have been very undeveloped. It'd be like 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
When I done Torremolinos in the very early 70s, pre-75, so it was early 70s, with Wishbone Ash, we played in the Bull Ring there and that, you know, and that's the way it was. You know, it was still bull rings and no high rises, nothing. You know,
A lot of charm. Yeah.
yeah, still a lot. It was still a fishing port. You know.
Yeah.
Well, in those days, in the 60s and 70s, that's where they filmed all the so-called spaghetti westerns. They were actually filmed in Spain.
Spain, I know.
Yeah, all the Clint Eastwood, the Sergio Leone stuff, and they were all filmed in Spain, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it looks like Mexico.
We got off the ferry in Bilbao, and we had to drive like a day and a half to get to Barcelona. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Can we get a ferry closer? You know, but you're driving through desert and desert and desert. And you come to a little village, it's like, and there's these big, huge posters which they still have of bulls. Right?
Bulls everywhere.
Yeah. And the mountains next to the mountain. And it's just like, and we hadn't been there before, so we had to like, every time we saw gas, we just like fill it up.
Because you don't know when the next gas
when the next one is, you know. And
yeah.
You got the gas tanks going down and down, you go, shit, and all of a sudden the little village is there, you know.
I'm willing to bet your truck didn't have air conditioning either.
Mine did.
Did
it?
Yours
Yours did, all right, yeah.
Well, the first tour I did, we definitely didn't have air conditioning.
I had a brand new F-150 with a big cube on the top of it.
Yeah.
It was the most dangerous thing I ever drove.
Oh, you've mentioned that before, the cube.
Yeah.
That we used to swear around.
Yeah, well, I rolled it over in Wales.
Well, you didn't want that, wasn't it? Somebody else said you should use that. You didn't want it.
No, I hated it. It was brand new, brand spanking new. It was beautiful. To look at it was great, but the top, remember when we used to load trucks in the 70s, it wasn't stacked. It was like on the ground,
flat
things on top. It was, you know, and I'm going, you got like 15, you got about all this space at the top. I'm going, what are you going to put in there, you know? So when you turn the wheel, the top would go. And I used to hit lampposts and all kinds of crap, you know.
Yeah.
It was pretty dangerous. I didn't like it. And
sounds like
I
it.
rolled it over in Wales. And that was the end of that truck. The management went enough.
Well, there are no roads in Wales. It would just be a rough trail, a sheep trail or something. So, you know, there's no roads.
Goat path, goat track.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
What's the old, there's an old.
Let's not alienate the Welsh.
Remember Wrexham.
Yeah. Wrexham, that's right. How do you get two wheels in a Mini? Well, one in the back.
Down the M4.
Yeah, one in the front, one in the back.
There you go.
So our great friend, my internet brother Darius Munchausen, has super stickered us, and it's the this symbol in the super sticker. So thank you, Darius. I won't play him the traditional "Take Him to Detroit" clip because I play that all the time. So I'm going to play him this one instead. So,
can you do that in slow mo next time? Brian,
yeah. We'll do it when.
I'm in my 70s, mate. I can't follow that.
Death Wish 3.
Guys are not that quick anymore. Why do you think
Charles Bronson.
Yeah. Got it now.
So
just like the pub.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask Martin, our good friend from Mexico, have you ever been to Spain, Martin?
Oh, no, not yet.
No. But so you guys have been to Mexico on tour?
Yes. Well, the only place I've been in Mexico is Mexico City.
Right.
And I was there with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
We played the show there.
And
I played golf at altitude there, which was amazing. I think I'd like to move there just to play golf. It improved my golf no end.
Well, indeed, there's less air resistance, so you feel like you're the most powerful.
I could hit the ball at 100 yards instead of 50.
Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, I guess the sound is different too. I mean, if you're setting up the sound for a band at that altitude, it must be different.
Yeah. Well, it carries. It's thinner air. The sound, it carries better. You know, there's less resistance.
Yeah.
And for those, I think I'm being correct here, the technical people, speakers is the movement of air on the diaphragms of the speakers. It's all about the movement of the air. So that, baffles.
And apparently, if you're drinking, it affects you more because it's.
Never bothered us. Never bothered me.
Because we had something else to get past that.
All right.
Hey, viva!
Hey, viva España. Yeah, so I guess what I was wondering was I mean, my experience with Mexico has been entirely in resorts on Cancun and in the Baja. I just wondered how great the Spanish colonial influence is in terms of architecture and.
It's so very much so. I mean, we're up in the hills where we're based right now, and I've been driving around thinking this is very Mexican. Well, Los Angeles Mexican, that Southern California influence around this area, with the red tiled roofs and stuff like that, where we are. It reminds me of LA,
Okay, yeah. I mean, I could see that, especially for the Baja, because it is really just an extension of Southern California all the way down there, in a sense. I'm just searching for a clip for Christian that's asked me to play, and I'm sure I'll find it if he just gives me. Oh yeah, I'm uploading that now. So that's one. Is that the hottest tour? What's the hottest place you've ever toured though?
For the gig,
yeah,
probably the hottest places I've done gigs. Sacramento.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay.
Sacramento. It's in the middle of nowhere, and it's just like so open. There's nothing to block anything.
Just heat, sun.
Just eat. It's bouncing. Always remember doing Sacramento.
Yeah, the ground's vibrating.
And obviously Phoenix, places like Phoenix, if you're outside. But the gigs in Sacramento were always outside. I never done a gig inside in Sacramento.
That's brutal, yeah. And you guys are humping gear around.
No, we were always outside. Bill Graham was the promoter, from San Francisco, and we used to do these gigs. Always, we'd do that first, and then we'd go to Oakland, and then somewhere else. There was always 3 venues.
But back to Mexico, I was in Mexico City with Nutcracker on Ice and a week rehearsal. Right. So then the tour started, and it was pretty cool. We did about 5 shows, and then we got out and went back at the States. But when I was with Linda Ronstadt, I think it was The Rose, the album, with all mariachi bands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the manager comes up and goes, "Hey, Wilko, you got to go down to Mexico." So I thought I was in Mexico. He goes, No. He goes, "You got to go. She's doing 5 different shows." And basically it was a bull ring, and they were going through the speakers in the bull ring, which was not recommended at all. And there was a guy walking around the bull ring, and Linda was on the horse singing. And it was totally, that's it. It was brilliant. I mean, and I'm sitting there collecting the money going, I can't believe this. They're all like, and they're all singing along with the song. It was fun, with what she was singing. And all of a sudden she finished, and within we didn't even have time to get the horse out of the ring when all the bull ring guys came running back in there, And the guy, before she started singing, he just came back from hospital, and he just had his ear stitched back on the back of his head.
Geez.
And he had a bandage around him, and they're all screaming in Spanish and stuff. And I'm going, "What's going on?" He goes, "Oh, he wants to get back on the bull. He wants to show the bull he can ride him." His ears all, bandaged up. I was like, nah.
So Linda didn't ride the bull then?
No.
Linda, no. Come on, Linda. Sure you can do it.
Come on, Linda.
No, she was beautiful.
Yeah. No, she was Aaron Neville.
Oh, Aaron Neville, was he producing that?
No, but they'd done that beautiful song together. It's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. Peter Asher was doing it.
Yeah. Peter was the.
He was the manager.
Yeah. Peter Asher.
Yeah. Aaron Neville, Ronstadt.
We'll pick this up just a second or two. I just want to thank Christian for that last super chat, and I do have that clip that you wanted. So.
Stick your money maker. Stick your money maker. You got to have the feeling. Sure as you're born. Hey!
The wonderful marriage of James Brown and Judas Priest.
I was going to say, what was going on there? What was going on there?
It's Bill. There's a guy called Bill McClintock. He's got a YouTube channel. It's a magnificent channel where he does these mashups. Of metal and other stuff. They're just fantastic, and that's one of my favorites. It's James Brown and Judas Priest. The Judas Priest song "Electric Eye," and it's perfect. The vocal perfectly fits the music. It's just bizarre.
Just the syncing up, yeah.
Yeah. We'll play that again. It's so good.
Too.
So good.
Stick your money maker. Stick your money maker. You got to have the feeling. Sure as you're born. Hey!
So good.
Yeah, great.
You got to check that channel out, everybody that doesn't know Bill McClintock. It's the most incredible stuff. He does like mashups of Metallica and and take a pop song and take a metal thing and jam them together. It's just incredible, and they all seem to fit, which is the weird thing. Like the music, it's almost as if they were written for the lyric that they use was written for that metal song. It's bizarre, they fit so well. But I guess it shows the underlying structure of rock music and pop music being
music in general. There's only so many chords and so many
time signatures, yeah.
So, like Ed Sheeran's just been sued and won recently, and he's saying, but you can't copyright a chord because you're taken away from every other musician.
He won as well, didn't he? Didn't he win that case?
Win, yeah. I mean, that's the second time he's been sued. Mind you, one of them, I think it was the same people that sued the guy. Can't remember his name.
The Robin Kevin Thicke or whatever his name was, Alan Thicke.
Yeah.
With
it was the same people because they said he nicked it from Marvin Gaye or something like that.
Yeah, that one was a little more blurry because it really did sound like Marvin Gaye.
But
it wasn't just.
I suppose if they'd just given them a royalty or a bit of the action, they wouldn't have sued.
Yeah, that one, the Thicke, is it Alan Thicke? Robin Thicke. Alan's the actor that was his father. It wasn't just that the rhythm was the same. There was certain percussion that was the same. It was so close, that one. I could see that line being blurred there.
I mean, that's the only one I know. That's one. I mean, people sued George Harrison, didn't he? I
was going to mention that. My Sweet Lord, he was sued by Alan Klein, who held the rights to, was it the Chiffons or the Ronettes or whatever it was? They sued him. Be my baby, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And
be my baby.
And George was like, "What the?" There's only so many chord structures, especially in a certain time signature in Western music.
You know what I mean? And yes, they may have been influenced by it. But that doesn't make sense. I mean, Phil Collins, everybody said Sussudio was copied from one of the Prince tracks, which I can't remember. And it's funny because Prince, as we know, it was his 65th birthday just last week or the week before. And it came on the radio, and I went, "Oh, this is Sussudio," and it wasn't. It was
I know. I'm trying. Yeah, I know the Prince song you're talking about. I can feel it.
If you're a fan of that artist, you're going to be influenced by them, and it might influence your writing or arranging, but it doesn't mean to say you're stealing it from them or anything. You're not.
No, and it just everything's based on something else at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
yeah. I mean, it's one thing to rip off note for note, but another thing to just have the same rhythm or the same sort of melodic structure. I mean, there's only so many melodies. You can only take those notes and fit them together in so many ways.
Could you imagine they did that with drum beats?
But that's been a bone of contention for rap, particularly hip hop and rap since the 80s. Is that
they sampled hip hop used to sample everybody and everything.
Yeah,
and build it in.
Yeah, and there've been many times they've had to credit the original writers.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still a blurred line. I mean, what's inspiration and what's just plain old copying? Now look at Led Zeppelin, of course. Led Zeppelin got a lot of trouble for nicking blues songs and claiming they'd written them back in the day. Eventually, I think they were forced to kind of change some of the crediting in the modern era on their albums. Is that blatant copying, or were they just inspired?
Influence. I just think it's influences. Really is. Yeah.
Blurred Lines. That's the song.
Yeah, it is Blurred Lines.
Yeah, but that one did sound like Marvin Gaye a lot more than some of the other the people that have been sued are it's just ridiculous. It's opportunistic nonsense.
Yeah,
I guess that's why bands like King Crimson and Van der Graaf Generator made their songs so complicated no one's ever going to nick them.
Nobody could do that. Yeah, even Genesis, everything was across. Strange chord sequences.
That's right. If you're going to do something in 7/8 time, it's pretty hard to rip off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why progressive rock bands have influenced other progressive rock bands, but it's very difficult.
Absolutely. I remember talking to the guys from the Stranglers when I worked with them, and they loved Van der Graaf Generator.
And heavily keyboard driven, like the Stranglers were.
I mean, I couldn't see the connection personally. Yeah.
Well, I actually do, and I was talking about this to my wife the other day when we were just randomly watching some videos on YouTube. Where things get suggested and you go down the rabbit hole and you just keep clicking them. Yeah. So we played a couple of Stranglers things, like Always the Sun, for instance, that Stranglers single. They were a progressive rock band disguised as a new wave pub rock band.
Yeah.
They were very clever with their arrangements and musically, particularly the keyboards of Dave Greenslade, I think it was, or whatever the keyboard player was, very progressive. They were hiding under the guise of a punk new wave band, I think.
Yeah.
Get that audience. I don't know. Did you guys ever work with the Stranglers? I know, Wilko, you did some new wave stuff.
I toured America with the Stranglers.
Right. So you've seen them close up, I mean, and seen them at work. I think they were a lot more musically inclined than their early stuff would pretend to be.
Yeah, I was shocked because I wasn't. Probably I can say the same about most bands that I work for until they were actually paying my salary. I weren't a fan of them, and then I became a fan because you listen to them more. You think, oh yeah. And I toured with Stranglers in America, and I knew probably 90% of the songs they played on stage. I thought, I know this one. I could sing along to this.
Yeah.
Without realizing, it gone in there. And I think that's a good song. That is, if you remember it, for whatever reason, it sticks in your psyche. You go, it's got to be good,
Well, when you listen back to things like Golden Brown, songs like Golden Brown that they did, or Gordon Brown as we used to call it, they were very, very melodic, musical, progressive in structure. I think they were definitely a band of who initially obscured their talents because it wasn't the era to be progressive when they hit the top, But I've seen them back in the day, and it was wonderful. I mean, they could rock out, but they could also do these beautiful, long, extended instrumental passages, like Walk On By, their cover of Walk On By. The full unedited version, you could almost imagine in the middle it's Genesis with the extended keyboard solos and stuff.
Dave was a good keyboard player. I think that's where all the musical direction came from Dave, I think.
Yeah, I think he sadly passed away. I think is it only the bass player still alive? I can't remember now.
Yeah, the bass player.
Yeah.
The drummer died.
I think Jet Black died. Hugh Cornwell died quite a few years ago. I think it's really just the bassist that's left.
Yeah.
But Jean-Jacques Brunel.
Yeah.
Always sounded like an impressionist painter to me. But.
Yeah. I think he was half French, or he liked to claim he was.
He liked to claim he was. I think he was a bit more British than he gave himself credit for. But I mean, you guys had toured a lot with bands like, rock bands, progressive rock bands from the 70s, and then this new wave thing hit and punk thing. Was there a huge difference in working for those bands, or was it just the same old story when it came to touring?
I think it's the same. Touring is touring.
Yeah, it's the same old story.
Yeah, it's touring is touring. You've got this. You're faced with the same problems.
The same hurdles.
Same hurdle. You just get on with it.
I mean, I think for me anyway, it was lucky that I worked for like the Average White Band, and band I really loved the music, So all the other stuff was just straightforward. But when I joined Replacements, which I hadn't a fucking clue what these guys were, and after about the first gig, I was like totally into them.
I love the Replacements.
Yeah, it was just like I'd sit back and I'd go, wow, I got into the different songs and it was like, these guys are pretty tight.
Yeah. Paul Westerberg.
I think with touring, it was a bonus for me anyway. If you like the band, if you like the music, I toured with Yes, and that was, one of their reunion tours.
Which one?
Many of.
It's an example that sorry, Mal, just to interrupt. There's an example. There's a band that had an extended family in a sense.
Yeah. Well,
and they'd all come in and out at various times.
Yeah. Well, we had two drummers. So we had Alan White and
was it Bill? Not Bill Bruford at that time.
No, it wasn't Bill. I forgot who it was. The original drummer. We had two keyboard players, Rick Wakeman and Tony Kay. Two guitar players, Steve Howe and Trevor Rabin.
I've seen video of that tour, where they're playing.
And John on vocals, obviously, and Chris Squire. So there was 8 of them on stage.
Yeah, it might have been Bill Bruford. Because he was the original drummer, and then Alan White joined. And then Tony Kay was the original keyboard player, and then Rick Wakeman joined. So they had the early lineup there,
Yeah. So we had two of everything except bass player and singer. So that was interesting, And I loved Alan White. I knew Alan long time before,
Yeah,
I
did a little tribute video to him when he passed away, because I think in terms of rock drummers, he's possibly, if it's possible to say so for a super group like underrated.
Oh, totally. Alan was underrated,
And he was a bit of a rocker compared to the rest of the band, who were all artsy-fartsy.
I'm just going to move. I'm getting the sun right in my face.
Yeah, it looks like you've got Hollywood lighting on you there, Wilko.
Yeah, we've rigged. We've re-rigged.
There you go. Alan White was a magnificent drummer, and a bit of the rest were all quite,
I think
to a certain extent, artsy-fartsy. He was a bit more of a rocker, I think.
Yeah, I think I got to know Alan first when it just finished with with John Lennon.
Oh, you did. Yeah, he did Imagine and all that stuff.
Yeah,
he was the drummer in that era.
Yeah. I was a Yes fan. I used to go down the marquee and watch those guys,
Well, that was back in 69, 70, I guess, or
yeah.
Those were the days.
Yeah, I've seen. It's funny. I've only seen Yes once live after all these years of listening to the records, and it was the drama tour with the Buggles. So Jeff Downs and
Trevor
Horn were in the band. So it was that tour, which is the most unusual tour. Now these guys have come in and out since. Obviously, Trevor became the huge producer, but they have played with Yes Again at various reunions as well. Jeff Downs then went on to form Asia and whatever, but it was funny to see the crowd were a bit like, what are we going to get here? Because it's not John Anderson and it's not Rick Wakeman.
Yeah.
It's the Buggles.
It's the Buggles. My wife used to work for Trevor Horn. You know, she still communicates with him occasionally. Typical music business of our era. Very incestuous, you know.
Yeah. I do like the Buggles, though. I loved that first album, or the album they did, The Age of Plastic. It was, and that's, of course, the video became like MTV's first video they played.
Video killed the radio star.
Yeah. Trevor Horn, though, he's had some career as a producer and writer. Incredible. Have you ever worked with him, you guys?
No, I haven't. Like I say, my wife did. You know, she still speaks to him occasionally.
Yeah. Because he also did a thing which I quite liked, which was called The Producers, which is a kind of a rotating bunch of guys, and it had Lol Cream and Kevin Godley involved.
I worked with those guys.
Yeah, I'm a huge 10cc fan, original 10cc with Godley and Cream.
Yeah. So we have 1 minute to break.
All right, okay. So, but just
I lived at the Manor Studios in Oxfordshire, and Kevin and Godley, Kevin and Lol were recording Godley and Cream, their first album.
Yeah, they just left 10cc.
Yeah, without 10cc, it was Godley and Cream.
Yeah, Consequences, and then I remember it was a triple album.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, I'm not surprised it became a triple album because they found some new kind of instrument, they reckon, at the time. Yeah.
Well, they invented this thing. We'll pick it up after the break, though. But I've got some knowledge on that one because I was heavily into it. It's the first band I ever saw live, but not with Godley and Cream. Unfortunately, it was too late.
Okay.
Yeah, too late. I missed those years, which is a shame. So yeah, take us to break anytime you guys like. Behind the scenes.
Here we go.
Hi guys, this is Gary from Pop Culture Minefield here on KGRA, and we're leaving for our first break. I hope we survive.
Did you know 75% of
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Oh wow, we survived. Welcome back to the commercial break. Now for some more Pop Culture Minefield on KGRA.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching us on YouTube, Rumble, and on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Hello, Bush. Hello, Kings Portcal, FKHC 2005. A whole bunch of people, Mighty Orbots. A whole bunch of people joined in the chat. I just wanted to highlight Davina's chat about Yes. The 90215 album.
Yeah.
Trevor Horn is all over that as producer, and although Trevor Rabin as guitar player made a big difference, total change in Yes's sound as well from Steve Howe. So Trevor Horn kind of propelled them into pop superstardom as opposed to just the prog superstardom they'd had before. Yeah, so so 10cc, Godley and Cream, they invented this thing called the gizmo.
That's it. I couldn't remember what it was called.
Yeah, and they used it on some early 10cc stuff, which was a guitar-based gadget. This is before synthesizers had managed to be polyphonic and create all this symphonic stuff you could do on them now. It was an attempt to do something that made almost an orchestra out of a guitar. It was a device that would sit on the bridge, and then you could pull it down onto the strings, and it was little rotating things in it, and it would make like multiple. It would make like each note would be multiplied thousands of times in the end, and it would sound like a whole orchestral background. And so they were trying to popularize that and make use of it a lot, and then of course synthesizers just made it redundant.
Yeah.
Fair play to them for giving it a try. I think you can still buy copies of that gizmo if for guitarists that are into it, but it allowed them to do all sorts of multi-layered effects with just one guitar.
They've got a little device now that you can buy. They've had them for years. You can buy for the guitar. It's battery powered, and it's like it kind of does one string at a time, but it's just like a rotating little wheel that vibrates the strings.
That's what they came up with that originally, and you can hear it on certain 10cc songs. I'm not sure how much live they could do it, but certain of their tracks, it's quite prominent on them. I also thought it was a shame that those guys eventually did split and wanted to do their own thing, because I think the four of the original members had something special with the mixture of the pop stuff from Stewart and Goldman and the more experimental stuff. It's like a lot of bands, they're not quite the sum of their parts is greater than them separately, you know.
Yeah, and then to Godley and Cream, obviously, when MTV exploded onto our screens, and then to went into production.
Video production, yeah.
Godley and Cream, yeah. They've done a lot of top videos.
Yeah, I mean, as well as their own stuff, which was like Cry was a big hit that they had a great video for, but they did stuff like, I think they managed produced like Rocket, that Herbie Hancock video with all the effects and stuff like that. They were quite experimental.
Yeah, well, they were. I think that's why people went for them. You know, it was on. You know, MTV was new, so it was all let's do that. You know,
they seized the day.
You know, the mind was open for people. You know.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of all the 10cc guys, and I mean, I don't know Wilko and Mal, if you'd met. Like Eric Stewart of 10cc, of course, started out in the Mindbenders back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And
seen them play.
Yeah. I was just wondering that if you remember the Mindbenders.
Yeah. Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders.
Yeah. Groovy Kind of Love and all that stuff. Yeah.
I met him with the Trams. When I was with the Trams, I must have met every pop band in England at the time.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, and which I listened to and sang along with, and all of a sudden, we mentioned before the Blue Bar in London, the last watering thing on M1, and all the bands used to just meet between 2 and 7 in the morning. Everybody stopped there, you know, and Blakey would be like, "Oh, Wilkie, there's Mindbenders. Oh, there's them over there, and all that stuff, and all these bands." I'm going, really? I mean, they look, you know. It was a good time for us, you know.
I mean, these days it would be selfie city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But they couldn't do it now. They couldn't sit there because it'd be just mobs.
The Stones would be sitting there. The Beatles would be sitting there. Everybody stopped.
Couldn't do it now.
On the way to the Speakeasy.
Yeah, on the way to the Speakeasy, which you've mentioned, of course, many, many times. I just wanted to.
I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to do it.
Oh, we'll do a whole show on that. I think if you want me to.
Oh, before I forget, Mr. Len Hawkes is at home, so anytime in July, you and I should talk and set it up.
Yes, I'd love to talk to. So, for those out there listening, Len Hawkes was a major component of the Tremolos, who back in the 60s and 70s had a number of really big hits worldwide, and fascinating band of the British beat era and beyond. And we're planning to try and do a show with Len. I'd love to do that. I've already started some kind of background preparation in terms of clips and images and stuff. So we're going to get that planned. I know Len's had a few struggles here and there with health, like all of us old people. So, but if we get that sorted, we're going to do a special.
We're not old.
It's like a fine wine, matured.
Are you getting something on my face, a reflection?
Well, I think it looks great. It's like the Beatles album where they've got half shadow, the Robert Freeman cover where they're half in shadow. You look like John Lennon like that. So we'll do it. We're planning a Tremolo special, which will be a fascinating dive into particularly that era of the 60s and 70s British beat boom and worldwide success of British bands.
Yeah, he's been told by the boss he's going to be going.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So best wishes to Len, and hopefully we'll get that together. I wanted to play. I just wanted to briefly go back a little bit to play. Hopefully we can play a few seconds of this without getting. And forgive me if there's any echo, but I want to play a little bit of Paul Westerberg for those who've never heard of him.
Mr. Westerberg.
So this is a great track called "It's a Wonderful Lie."
We got no audio.
Oh, no audio.
No audio.
That's funny. I did share audio on that, which is weird.
Happens to me all the time.
Hang on. Oh yeah, I think I know why that might be. Let's try it. I'll try that again. Forgive me. Let's see if this works. Anything?
Yeah, we got it.
We can only play a few seconds, but.
Right.
Get up from a dream and I look for rain. Taking amphetamine in a crushed rat brain. How am I feeling better, I suppose?
I just have to keep interrupting for copyright purposes. Hopefully we're okay. This is on Jules Holland's show. This is song called "It's a Wonderful Lie." This is a great example of how great a writer Paul Westerberg is.
How am I looking? I don't want the truth. What am I doing? I ain't in my youth. Past my prime, was that just a pose?
I'd love to play the whole thing, but we'll probably get hammered to hell by YouTube. But check that out, everybody. Paul Westerberg, "It's a Wonderful Lie," and then go look at some replacement stuff.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. They're a great.
Yeah, great band. So it's just a tiny taste of how good Paul Westerberg is. I mean, that's acoustic, but obviously these guys could rock too. They rocked hard. I've seen them live. Awesome. Yeah. So.
Well, I'll tell you something else about Paul Westerberg. When I was with Lou Graham from Foreigner doing his solo stuff, his name just came up. And I was like, yeah, well, I worked for the Replacements. He goes, you did? I was like, yeah. And guess what, Lou? There's Paul Westerberg having breakfast over there in the Mayflower Hotel, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, and Lou was all embarrassed. And I'm going, what is wrong with you? You want to do songs with him? And anyway, we walked over there, and Paul's like, hey, Wilkie, and all that stuff, and introduced them. And I went, musicians, you don't need me. Have a chat, I don't think anything came from it, but it was good to put them together,
That's nice, yeah. I mean, and also you would think possibly two different strands of rock, but they all know each other. And just a quick, I'm going to throw this picture up on the screen. There's
there they are.
Yeah, they are the Replacements. Great kick-ass band.
You know why they were called the Replacements?
Well, why is that, sir? Tell us.
Well, I asked the same question I was actually with them for 9 months. It was the longest tour they'd ever done because they would just crash and die, and the band members would be like, whatever. So, after about 3 weeks, I went, why do you call you guys the Replacements? They went, oh, you don't know? I went, no, I haven't a clue. So I went, we're going to show you tonight. So I turned around and he's Chris, the drummer. They're pouring whiskey down him. I'm going, what are you doing? You're going on in 10 minutes. So like, we're going to show you why we call the Replacements. So I went, okay. So not even thinking what it could be or anything, So after the second song, Chris, the drummer, was like puking, throwing up. Paul goes, "Got any drummers in there?" About 4 people jumped on stage. Right? And anyway, they're actually playing drums. They were like, I'm going, "Oh shit, this is absolutely brilliant," you know. So then all of a sudden, Tommy goes, "Yeah," just puts the guitar down and play anyway. And Paul goes, "Anybody play bass out there?" I go, yeah. 2 more guys jumped up, put the bass on, they're playing bass. And then Westenberg just walked off. So somebody took his place. And then I was with the guitar player Slim at that time. So Slim looked at me and he just went, "See ya."
And just disappeared in a new one.
They were gone. And that's why they called the Replacements. That's what they told me. And I just went, "Well, I'm not paying them." So off I went, you know. So
that is bizarre. Yeah. There's actually, I love that when that happens. I mean, there's a number of examples in rock history of it happening. But there's good. I mean, I went to see Neil Finn on his first post-Crowded House tour, and he was having a thing that every gig he would invite somebody from the crowd to come up on stage and do something. And at the end of the tour, the one that the band thought was the best would get to play a whole gig with him or whatever. So this guy in Glasgow got up and with a guitar, acoustic guitar, and they played Weather With You, and he played the acoustic guitar and all this fantastic stuff and sang it through the whole song. And he was just like, the crowd were like, "What the hell?" This guy was brilliant. And like, it's so good, which I thought was really neat to give the, I mean, it may not have worked at some gigs because they may have got a real idiot, but this guy was brilliant, you know. But of course, there's the famous one where Keith Moon collapsed behind the drums and they had to get a, Pete goes, "Any drummers in the crowd?" And the 19-year-old student got up and he played brilliantly.
Yeah.
That was the elephant tranquilizer incident. So.
Yeah, right. But it's good to see that, you know. I mean, when I did the solo thing with Lou, a couple of places we went to, you know, just downtown as a night off, and we all of a sudden you listen to this guitar player. It was in Kansas City. And this guy rocked, man. He was just absolutely brilliant. And he walked off stage, and Lou just got up and walked over and started talking to him, you know, and basically, "Call me. I want to use you," you know. Didn't want the band, just wanted this guitar player. You know?
I mean, they're out there. There's so many good musicians out there that it's just that one thing that might get you the break.
Getting the break.
Getting that one tap on the shoulder, you know, "Hey, come over here." We actually did go on here, Lou's new stuff, you know, so I can't remember his name. Just one of those guys in the pub playing the guitar.
It's just great, yeah. I mean, and otherwise, I mean, there's legendary guys that could be legendary are out there playing in their bedrooms, and just that one thing might be their lucky break. 10,000 others don't get it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, with the Average White Band, we had a group called Street Corner Symphony.
Okay.
And they were a cappella, you know, and we were just stood there in the corner in Los Angeles, in Inglewood. We didn't know what Inglewood was back then, you know. And next thing I knew, a month later, they were on a tour. And not one instrument on stage. Street Corner Symphony, check them out.
What, just vocals? Just
vocals.
A cappella.
You know,
like the Flying Pickets.
Yeah.
Remember them?
You know.
Yeah.
Remember them? Yeah, that's pretty neat. There was an example of guys getting thrown in the deep end, which we've talked about, Gary Moore, Thin Lizzy, and that whole thing about, and wanted to talk a little bit more about them. But Midge Ure, when Midge Ure was asked to join Thin Lizzy, he basically had to fly out to America the next day and join them on tour. And he said, "I learned the songs on the plane on the way over." He just like had a cassette recorder and he was writing stuff down. He learned how to play all the songs on guitar and keyboards on the way over. Like some guys are just like Steve Vai. When Steve Vai replaced Youngme Malmsteen and Graham Bonnet in Alcatraz, he learned the songs overnight and then played them all the next day.
I think Alan White did that with Yes. Bill left. I think he had like a day to learn because I think Bill left mid-tour or something.
Yes, usually that's what happens.
And just learn it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a special skill. I guess that's why they're musicians. But
and
I
it'll
mean,
be different, So somebody might say, "Oh, that's not as good as Bill." It's different from Bill.
It's different, yeah.
Different
I mean,
drummers,
and that's not easy stuff to learn. That wouldn't be easy stuff to learn either. I mean,
wow, can you imagine that? Like you know more about music than I do. I'm sure.
I don't know about that.
I know more about musicians than you do.
Well, indeed, and feel free to tell us.
Musical, but it's the same. You can't get a replacement and expect them. But some people would expect them to be exactly like Bill Bruford. Oh, I preferred Bill Bruford. He used to do, triples on that rather than Alan's just hitting it.
Yeah, I mean that's not fair.
It's different. It's apples and oranges. Although they are drummers, and I know Dustin might say something about drummers, but for me they're all different. I've worked with some great drummers, but none of them play the same. Same as guitar, same as musicians in general. You can't expect them to play what the other guy was playing.
Two guitarists.
What you do, classical musicians, and you read notes. That's what you do.
Guitarists and drummers, they've all got radically different styles, different kit.
Yeah.
They're never going to be the same.
Yeah, you just said it's a different sound with a different kit.
Alan would have a basic kit, and Bill Bruford would have 22 drums.
He only played 4 of them usually, though.
Yeah, only play 4 of them at a time.
I mean, you guys have worked as like Wilko. I know you've talked about it, and I think Mal as well. You've been like setting up drum kits for bands in the early days, like drum techs.
That's good.
I mean, you see these guys now have got 400 drums, but surely they only play about 5 of them. Some of them just sit there and do nothing. I mean,
I don't know how to answer that because
I don't, because some of them do and some of them don't.
Yeah,
right? Majority of them do like to hit all those things.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, that's different. But they do think if I do bang on the end on the floor tom after 7 rack toms. When they think that's not, instead of just,
What about gongs? They always had a gong at the back, the big guys.
yeah. Well, Bill used to have a gong. You're right. The guy had a gong. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I've seen like John Bonham, Roger Taylor, they've all got a gong.
We only ever hit it once all night.
Stuart Copeland used to have the hanging like tubular bells and all that, and he'd play all that stuff.
Bill did that when I done King Crimson. Bill had his regular kit, and then he had all that Donna. I used to call it his Donna Summer kit. Bing, 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 bing. I go, Bill, I love that Donna Summer stuff, and he would be. He'd be like...
You get pissed off?
You know what I mean? Donna Summer, there's nothing like Donna... I go, geez, Bill, hit that. Bing, bing. See? Just like Donna Summer.
Yeah. You see, what's he got to not like about Donna Summer? Those 17-minute disco remixes are just brilliant.
Bill Bruford here. Now, Bill is a bit of a snob, bit of a musical snob.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
And
I bet if Donna Summer had offered him a gig, he would have taken it for the right money.
Yeah. He is a bit of a prostitute as well.
Most musicians are. They're 1 gig away from starvation.
Yeah.
20 to 20.
Same as Rowdies.
Yeah. Next gig is
Gary Wallace, who is now touring with Tom Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he's playing drums, but he's his musical director as well. But when I first met Gary in the mid-'80s, he was playing all the electronic drums with Pink Floyd. On the Momentary Lapse of Reason tour. Gary was doing all the electronic drums. Nick was playing the basic kit.
Yeah.
Keeping time. And Gary was doing all this. And
I've
Gary's
seen him on the
a
videos.
drummer. He studied at the Royal Academy.
Yeah. Drummer, it's always fascinating me that people that are classically trained drummers, just how the drum notation on sheet music, I've never been able to decipher that stuff. I mean, it's a whole language of its own to be able to read that. It's incredible stuff. I guess Keith Moon would have had trouble with it, but
Keith Mooney would have. He'd have trouble reading, I think.
You mentioned musical directors, because a lot of acts like Tom Jones, particularly singers, have a bigger band set up and a musical director. Sadly, recently, of course, Tina Turner passed away, and I think you guys might have worked. Wilko, you worked with Tina? Or somebody worked with?
No, I met her once.
Yeah.
It was like walking by each other, and I sent him out last week. It's like I didn't realize how small she was, for the dynamic she did on stage. She was pretty small, and I was just leaving backstage. She was arriving for sound check. We just like smiled at each other, and I would walk by. And
that kind of.
She had that smile all the time.
That's
fixation.
Didn't know her, but I met her.
I think Mark maybe worked with her.
Well, we were doing Pink Floyd rehearsals in Toronto. Tina was playing at the stadium there. And Laurie Wisefield was on guitar from Wishbone Ash.
So I didn't know that. I didn't know he'd worked there, because I knew that her musical director. I think
he's actually working on the stage show in London now.
Well, I might have
seen the musical.
Because I know her musical director for many years was John Miles.
A nice Geordie boy.
John Miles is great. He's one of these overlooked guys. I think deserves more attention. He was musical director.
Nice guy.
Yeah, I saw her in 1987 live, and I don't know if Laurie Wisefield was on guitar then, but John Miles was her musical director.
Well, this would be 86, 87.
I saw her on the Break Every Rule tour in 87, so he must have been on guitar then.
Laurie Wisefield was on guitar.
And John Miles was on guitar and singing as well. He did some lead stuff with Tina, and it was brilliant. He was a great singer, John Miles.
Yeah.
Well, he might still be. I don't know if he's still around. But
I don't know if he is.
I don't know, but he does a lot of those orchestral rock things like they do in Germany a lot. The classic rock orchestral stuff.
That was it. I think he was a trained piano player, wasn't
he? He's a Geordie, right? Why, man?
Yeah.
Surely that's bitter rivals of you guys. You're from Hartlepool.
Nah, not really.
Nah.
John Miles died in 2021.
I thought he might have, but he was a. There's a great clip of him and Tina singing. I think it's "Try a Little Tenderness," and they're doing a dual lead thing, and he's got such a powerful voice.
He did. What was his big hit?
Music.
Yeah,
music was my first love.
Yeah.
He's a good Geordie lad. Slow Down. That was another song. I think he had a hit with a song called Slow Down. But so sometimes these guys need a musical director because their band, they've got 4 backing singers, they got 2 guitarists, 2 drummers.
Yeah. Generally, I mean, even on Page and Plant, Ed, I've forgotten his surname, who was the keyboard player on the Page and Plant tour. He done all the musical arrangements with the Egyptian musicians.
Yeah.
He tied all that in to theirs. So Ed was controlling that. And John Caron was doing a bit of that with all the other musicians and the backing singers, tying it in on Pink Floyd.
So you worked, I mean, that's an example of working with classical musicians with a rock band. I mean, have you guys done anything where there's been a lot of orchestral involvement live, like an orchestra and band?
No, I've never toured with an orchestra, but every now and then, one of the bands, like Phil did it, I think Genesis would employ like an orchestra. And they'd say, in Australia, we had one touring with us, but that was like 12, 13 piece, like 3 violins, a cello, a couple of other bits and pieces, and they would augment on certain parts of it, with Genesis. Fitted lovely, I thought.
Yeah, I think from a touring road management perspective, it probably isn't that hard. It's just a few extra instruments to cart around. But I guess from a sound mixing perspective, it's tough.
No, those classical musicians cart their own music, their own instruments,
especially the bass
player. They don't want to part with them. We had to buy a seat for the lead violin. We had to buy a seat for his violin.
I've heard about this thing.
Well, Steve Howe used to do it for his guitar. You know, he's got that old Gibson, big wide-bodied thing. Yeah. And he used to do it on the tour when we flew.
Yeah, got their own seat. Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, if you think about it. But I always thought if you're going to be a classical musician, be something like a flautist or a violinist, but it's easy to carry. Don't be a double bass player. You know?
and don't be a violin player. That costs $500,000, you know.
Yeah. Robbery with violins. Yes. Violins. I'm just going to ask Dustin if are you still there, old chap? And John and Martin, I'm going to take a 30-second break. So if you guys could just continue without me, I'll be back very shortly. I'll be back after this break.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, legit, like if you're gonna play heavy equipment, just get a lot of people to carry it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think Deep Purple was the first ones with an orchestra, and that was just a brilliant album.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it brought out the intensity of what you could do with rock and the orchestras together.
There's a lot. The BBC, BBC Two are doing it right now, and Maidaville Studios, and they've just done Iron Maiden with the orchestra. All of these bands, they're putting them in there with the orchestra, and plus they're asking them to do a cover song as well, something they'd never played before in their lives. So, you know, Iron Maiden, I've forgotten what the track was. And there we go with the BBC orchestra. It comes out great, you know. It's amazing when you do tie the two together. Sometimes it can really work.
You know, I mean, I would love to hear Pick Up the Pieces with an orchestra and Cloudy.
Yeah, with the strings. Yeah.
The whole string section with that, I think it'd be great. But Pick Up the Pieces, they could put all kinds of stuff in there.
All kinds of percussion. Can you imagine the percussion going on there?
You know. In fact, I'm going to work on that one.
I've been seeing a lot of orchestral stuff doing, like at least here in Indianapolis, they'll have movies. They'll show movies and then have the orchestra orchestra do the soundtrack.
Doing the soundtrack, that's a good idea. That's great. Live orchestra when you're watching Star Wars.
They're doing like Harry Potter and all that stuff.
I've got to put my hand up here. I've never ever seen a Harry Potter anything. I've never read a book. I've never seen a movie. Although I've been clearing my loft out recently, and I've found a first edition Harry Potter and the Something Wizard. Or
I'll give you 10 quid for it.
10 grand.
Is that enough?
10 grand.
I'll buy you a pint tonight.
Yeah. They're getting ready to put out a whole new series on HBO.
Yeah, right, that's right. They're doing it on HBO, aren't they, Harry Potter? My grandkids loved it, and I bought this. I remember buying this Harry Potter book and starting to read it to my son, and it was the first one. So it was about 87, 88, and he didn't like it. He didn't like it, so I stopped reading it, and it's been slung. And it's just come out my loft. And I checked, it's a first edition.
I'll give you the plan for it tonight.
Okay.
And I want the change.
You're muted, Ryan.
But I'd like to throw out about
Ryan, you're muted.
Congratulations to Josh Freese.
For the Foo Fighters. I knew Tom told me he was going to be in the Foo Fighters.
I took Josh out on his first tour with Michael Damian. And they were doing electronic things and whatever, you know. But every time that kid got behind the drum kit, man, it was just like awesome. Lifted. And the last time I saw him was I went down to sound check with the Replacements. And he was doing the Replacements. And he walked by me and it was like, we both just stopped and we just started laughing. Because, I mean, he learned a lot. He learned a lot that tour. I mean, he came on tour with a suit. And after the third concert, I was calling him Woodstock. His hair was all backcombed and all his multicolours. I go, hey, Woodstock, come here, I want to talk to you. You know, so that was his nickname on the tour, Josh Freeze.
I don't know how many bands I've seen him play in. I know he's played for
a lot of bands.
Yeah, I know he played for Perfect Circle for a while, maybe.
Well, he was an LA session guy as well for a while, or he still is, you know. So he knew what he was doing behind that kit. What's that? And also back to drummers, the funny one I did with Dio, Vinny Appice and Nico. So we're at the sound check and Vinny's looking at his kit. And Nico goes, you want to get on? I'll take you for a little circle. And Vinny's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going, go on, you pussy, get on there. And he went up about 10 feet and he was playing and he was rolling and this and that. And he came down, he went, nah, I don't know how you do it. I mean, I don't know how they do it. They're upside down, they're playing the kit, you know, and not like we used to put a 6-inch nail and hammer everything down. I mean, that thing was down, you know, but that was fun night. It was just throwing Vinny on his drum kit and saying, go on, have a go at that. Every night doing that, I couldn't believe it. You know, so that's my drum story for the night.
Hey, Brian, you're muted.
I don't know.
I think he's trying to unmute. There you go.
Someone's clicking the mute button because I didn't touch it. I wasn't going anywhere near it.
Not me.
No,
I wouldn't know where.
We're tired of hearing you,
I wouldn't
Brian.
know where that button was.
Yeah, what's the mute button?
But yeah, Vinny,
it's
and
like a female anatomy, is it?
it
I
is.
don't know where it is. Never ever found it.
You stroke the mute button. Tickle it.
Oh.
Like the like button. You don't. You can tickle that or you can smash it. It's up to you.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as you somehow click the like button and share the stream out. So, Vinny, you worked with Vinny a piece,
Yeah.
obviously, but what about Carmine?
Met him quite a lot of times, but never worked with him. He was always there supporting his brother. You know, it was pretty cool.
It's funny to have two. It's this brother's talented.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
both
yeah.
talented guys.
But I
Incredible.
didn't realize that Carmine was with Rod Stewart for a while.
Yeah. Well, he'd done Beck Bocard
Yeah.
and a piece.
Yeah.
You know.
He'd been around.
Drummers, excellent drummers.
He'd been around a bit longer. Yeah, he was a bit further back.
Rick,
but the
what was the drummer with Gabriel when I worked with Gabriel? Rick, I've forgotten his surname. New Yorker, Rick Marotta.
Rick, yeah, wasn't he Jerry?
His brother, Jerry Marotta.
Jerry was
and
one
Rick,
of them.
Both drummers.
Yeah, it's weird, eh? You think there would be different instruments.
Yeah.
Just not to be the same as their brother, but
Yeah.
like the Van Halens.
And Peter used to go in the studio before he went in, and he'd take away the drums. He'd leave them
cymbals.
He'd leave them with a cymbal or something like that, or just a bass drum, or just a snare drum. And he'd
You would take the cymbals away, and
I want you to play this old track on that one drum or on that cymbal. You know. And Jerry used to go nuts. Oh, I can't do that. Yeah.
Well, he did it to Phil Collins too. He took the cymbals away and said, "I don't want you using cymbals."
Yeah.
But because Peter Gabriel, not a lot of people know this, started out as a drummer.
Well, he'd like to think he was.
Yeah, he was the original drummer in Genesis.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think they had nobody else, and they weren't really,
Well, this was when they were still at school, really, like that posh charter house.
That's like being a garage band, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was like their
garage. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so I think he fancied himself as a bit of a drummer.
He wanted to be the drummer. Yeah, I'll be the drummer.
Good flute player as well.
Yeah, definitely. He used to play flute all the time, didn't he?
Yeah, and then there's some of the solos, like in.
I'm thinking of going to see him. I haven't been to a concert since 2000.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Peter's touring at the moment, so I might go along and see him. Because I love Peter.
Right,
I'll
just
look
give him a
forward to
call.
Yeah.
You should go, mate. I was thinking of going to that. It's quite
Go
a
back
distance.
out, man. Go and do a tour. I did a tour on Tuesday. I did a one-off in Peterborough.
Oh, what did you do?
It was the worst nightmare of my life.
Really?
Nothing to do with music whatsoever.
No, it was absolutely trying to deal with transport this day and age in England. Flew from Spain with Annie to look at 2 mobile homes. And we were going to fly out that night, and everything was getting cancelled, the trains. And then we got stuck in Stansted at 8 o'clock at night. All the hotels were fully booked. So we finally got this hotel. There was nobody there, nobody in the hotel. So I had this help number, so I called and went, "Oh, we just closed it down last night." I said, "You just took a couple of £100 off me to stay for the night. Could I at least have a room,
Sleep in the car park.
Oh, that was funny. I mean, they came round and they picked me up and they took me to another place. It was like 24-hour nightmare. Never do it again. And I never went through that shit on tour,
It's been pretty bad travel recently for various reasons. But yeah, there's a lot of flights cancelled. Flights are getting cancelled all over the place.
All over, yeah.
Strikes.
So are you guys just on holiday, or are the Rowdies doing something in Spain?
No, I'm here on holiday. I've come to visit this old friend of mine.
Which old friend is that? Oh, you mean Wilko? Oh, sorry.
No, not this old
Not
friend.
this one.
No, Phil. And I haven't seen him for a long time. I mean, 10, 12 years. And I think the last time I seen him, he was working for me on a Genesis tour back in '93.
This is the gentleman you're staying with, Phil.
And we played a gig in Manchester, and he had to drive Phil back to the hotel afterwards from the gig. It was blanket fog in Manchester that night. Blanket fog. And this was, there was no sat-navs back then. I think 93, maybe a mobile phone, maybe, but they certainly didn't have sat-nav on it. So he left. And now he left the venue an hour before me. I got back to the hotel, sitting there at the bar, having a drink, and Phil comes storming in with Phil.
Phil and Phil. The two Phils. Oh, you guys are frozen.
Oh, he wasn't happy. He wasn't a happy man. Neither of them. I think my friend Phil was ready to kill Collins, and he decides to done it.
No more Phil Collins if that had happened. So Wilko, though, you've been on a bit of a tour because you were in Greece.
Well, I fully retired finally. I just said I'm not doing any more work, no more BS. So I've been in Spain a month. I've got 2 more weeks to go. I'm going into England to my hometown, Hartlepool, to see the tall ships. There's 100 tall ships coming in.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those before.
Yeah, it's really cool. And my oldest daughter, Kate, is coming in with my granddaughter, Edie. Can't wait to see them. And so I'm going to be in England for about 2 months, seeing family, and going to the studio with Mark, as you know. And we're going to do a whole bunch more recording and editing and all that stuff. And then September, I think Michelle, my lady, and my son are going to join me in Italy in September.
It's a hard life.
Well, the other thing is basically, I think I mentioned before, I've been trying to do a TV show. I think we got enough material, and there's enough people out there that I think would love to hear. And exactly what we did, and doing a little TV show here and there. So I got a call on Saturday of last week, the producer I'm working with, and he's just taken over all of North America's movies for Greece. So I'll probably be going into Greece for the next couple of months.
Right.
Hopefully to put the deal together for our Rock and Roll
Rowdies TV show, which we're all...
And we're still talking about live shows.
Yeah,
So So I think in terms of live shows, when we've been talking off screen, I think the Rowdies, a weekly regular Rock and Roll Rowdies live show on your channel would be a fantastic thing. You've got a circle of guys, like, I don't know, you said something like 50, 55 roadies that could come in and out and help. I'm certainly, keen to host that for you guys. So that's coming soon. We're going to we'll get the details finalized on that. We're looking at July weekly show, so we can, build up the Rock and Roll Rowdies channel, build up the audience on that channel, start to have more interaction.
We're getting the band back together, we're getting.
But you know what happens then is you get back together and then bands break up because they all end up hating each other.
Well, we won't manage to travel anywhere, Brian, because there's 3 tour managers. Can you imagine? We'll all come up with different,
scenarios how to get there. Well, you go that way. Well, I'm not going to go that way. You go this way.
Granny will want to do everything by train.
Yeah. What do you call a collection of tour managers then? Like it's a murder of crows. What do you call a collection of tour managers?
Twats.
Twat of tour managers.
Oh my God. You broke Dustin.
Yeah, not the flapping, but the twatting. Yeah, yes, here we've got the twatting brothers.
The twatters. That's I never thought of that before. A collection of tour managers.
Yeah, it's a good job Granny's not here.
Yeah.
Nobody would go anywhere would be the result.
No, we'd never get nowhere.
But Granny's still into the trains. You should do a tour by train. Rowdies by train. That would be a good series.
Yeah. Oh, no, he'll do it, believe me. But if you need more information, Brian, call Granny. I've already told him.
All right.
But you're not going to be talking nonstop anyway.
Oh, of course.
He's like chomping on the bit. He's like, you and Craigsy's getting together? Well, yeah, we're doing a podcast tomorrow. In Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to come in, we're going to fly out. Well, what do you mean?
Granny's back in California though now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back home.
Yeah.
He's gigging and stuff. But yeah, I mean,
Rail by Rowdies.
Rowdies by rail, rail by Rowdies.
Rowdies by rail.
Rowdies being railed. Rowdies being railed. Well, that would be a different thing.
Yeah, that's it. Derailed.
Derailed by the Rowdies.
Yeah, so there are plans.
We're riding out of town on a rail.
Yeah.
Listen to this, guys. I mean, you all live in America, Canada, whatever, and it's like, I checked the trains out from Alicante to Valencia. An hour drive, train journey, $15 for a ticket, right? If I were to go first class, $20. So then from Valencia, I was going to go all the way to Madrid, which is 2 hours. Same thing, $15, or first class, $24. And then from Madrid, I was going to come all the way down south to Seville, and it was $55. 5-hour train journey, work it out. Yeah. And the trains go 170 miles an hour.
I know it's definitely the way to go. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I can't stand the heat. I'm serious. I mean, I'm just like doing this to my hair all the time. I want to chop it off, and it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah.
When we're now 20s, 18 is like, who cares?
Well, I just came back from Cancun and it was, it was up in the 110s, but it was by the sea, so it was a nice breeze in the pool.
Yeah,
just spent the whole time
we're a bit up in the hills. If we go down, we're going to go down to the beach tonight for something to possibly have a drink, possibly have a drink and something to eat.
Cold drink, of course. A beverage.
Yeah.
I just wanted to interrupt briefly to say thank you to Christian for our $5 Canadian super chat. The real question: where are the best women? In the country? In which country? Or in the world? Or
I like Italianos.
Yeah.
I like Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I like English.
The girls in Italy, the young girls in Italy are stunningly beautiful.
They really are gorgeous.
And Spain, the young girls, stunningly beautiful. Then you've got those California girls.
Well, I've got one of them at all.
I wish they all could be California.
Yeah, I wish we all could be. But they're all different. You've got the beach babes down in Sydney, Australia. They're all beautiful to me. All of them. Every single one.
But I mean, best is a very interesting word. I mean, where are the most beautiful women? Where are the most intelligent women?
For the most beautiful young women and stylish as well, I would say Italy.
Yeah, me too.
They're stylish and beautiful with it. No
There's-
matter what their age, you know,
There's
even
a
the
great-
older ladies are very stylish and very,
Having been to Italy a few times, I've seen that. Yeah, and there's a great song by Daryl Hall and John Oates called "Italian Girls," sung by
Yeah,
John Oates. Great track. It's all about that.
It's totally true. I mean, when I did the Meatloaf tour, we're in Germany, and it was 82, 82, and I was like, they weren't the Italians, but they were all dressed beautifully, and yet again the older women.
Yeah,
I mean, you
very
can tell,
stylish.
very stylish. They're all going to work. They're like, you know, and I was like, wow, look at these chicks. They're driving at the gigs and stuff. You know?
They ain't got no flip flops on.
No.
So you guys have obviously never been to Glasgow, because that's where the most glamorous women in the world are.
Where's Glasgow?
Where's that? What toilet is that in?
Yeah, you're not talking about the Gobbles, eh?
The Gorbles.
We're
Yes.
talking about the Gobbles.
The Gobbles.
The Gobbles. You could probably get Gobbles and Gorbles. I just wanted to play a little clip for Christian. I'm going to play a little clip for Christian to thank
I
him.
don't know how much you can edit from this, Brian. I got my
None.
first
It's-
dose of crabs from a girl from Glasgow.
Indeed. See, different from where you are now. You go down the beach and get crabs and you eat them. In Glasgow, you get a different
it's
kind
very
of crabs.
very different back then.
It's hard to dip those crabs in butter.
Oh yeah.
You've got to get a whole bunch of them before you do.
Yeah. So Brian,
sure
you must remember the girls on the Tenant box.
I'm sure Alex Harvey wrote a few songs about that, but you know. Let me play a little clip for Christian to thank him.
Let's rock! Let's rock! Let's rock.
Let's rock, Duffy.
Let's rock and roll. Let's rock!
Thank you again, Christian. Did you ever meet or work with Alex Harvey?
Yeah.
Alex Harvey never worked with him, but met them. You know, those guys used to be at the marquee all the time and stuff like that.
Sensational Alex Harvey band.
And Jock, our friend Jock.
Oh, Jock, yeah.
Jock, as it happens, was Scottish.
Get away.
Who
You
knew?
know, he worked with Alex Harvey, you know, and I worked with Maggie Bell.
Oh, Maggie.
You know, and so they were always in the same.
We were always
circles.
interacting, and it was when I first did the first Average White Band tour, and I started taking over tour management and all that, and all of a sudden I went, "So is the support band?" They went, "Alex." I went, "Alex who? Alex Harvey." I was like, "Are you mental? Are you absolutely mental?" They were like,
Average White Band and Alex Harvey.
they were like, well, he's friends of ours. And it's like when he walked on stage, and I've got 20,000 African Americans going, "What is he doing? What's he talking
the
about?"
guy is dressed like a mannequin.
Yeah. I
No,
mean, I loved it.
Harlequin paint on his face.
Yeah, he lasted about a week, 2 weeks, and it was like, we got to change this guy.
Alex Harvey was incredible. Yeah, they had a hell of a stage show. He'd come from a musical background, musical theatre background, of course.
Oh, he did?
Well, he did hair and stuff like that on stage. But he knew how to put on a show.
Yeah, he was really, really good.
But for those who've never heard the sensational Alex Harvey band, they did some fantastic songs. There's the Boston Tea Party, Next, which is about the selling of bodies for money. Next, you know.
Well, we're still doing it, aren't we?
Yeah, well, that's right. That's what Rudy is.
Bodies, they're still alive, but we're selling them for money.
This was live female bodies, I think he was talking about. But great band, and their version of Delilah.
Delilah,
just incredible. Great. There's not that many Scottish artists kind of made a splash anywhere other than Scotland. And Average White Band was one, sensational Alex Harvey band. So you guys have met the very few that did. Yes.
Well, Frankie Miller. Frankie Miller.
Storm the Crows.
Brilliant.
Frankie Miller is a wonderful guy. It's a shame what happened to him with the strokes.
Very sad.
Wonderful songwriter and singer. Yeah, there was a guy that we were talking about yesterday, Wilko, off screen, which was that you guys, maybe I don't know if you worked with him, but you certainly encountered him many times, was the wonderful Gary Moore, Irish, of course.
Yeah, Gary, brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I worked with him.
You did?
Yeah, kind of toured, done rehearsals, done a few TV shows.
Yeah, another guy sadly missed.
Yeah, and that was with the Gary Moore band, and I also worked with him with BBM. You know, Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, and Gary Moore.
Yeah, that was incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Just briefly, thank you to Dan.
Hard work. That was hard work. Gary, hard work.
Yeah.
Sorry, but he was, you know.
He didn't like to fly, did he?
He didn't like to fly, and if he flew, he had to have a particular seat. If he couldn't get a particular seat, he wouldn't fly. You know, that's very restrictive, Gary. You know, if you haven't got your own plane, it's very restrictive.
Couldn't he afford his own plane?
Nah.
No. He drank a lot, so maybe.
Hey, Brian, we have a super chat from.
Well, I was trying to interrupt the guys just to say thank you to Darius Munchausen for the $5 super chat. Rowdies doing rails and railing rowdy groupies by rail.
Railing rowdy groupies.
I like the railing rowdy
groupies. Yeah, we'll rail them up for me.
That is a great title. We'll keep that one in mind for future shows. And I will play you the traditional clip this time, Darius.
Take him to Detroit.
No, not Detroit. No, please. Anything with that. No.
So Gary Moore, he didn't like to fly, and he liked a particular seat. Can you tell us what that seat was?
I think, from memory, it was an aisle seat in row 2.
Oh, it's very specific.
Yeah. Oh, very specific. And if you couldn't get, we get you row 5, Gary. Nah.
But why row 2, I wonder? Did he ever reveal that?
Well, that's going to be first class as well. Row 2.
But when you're flying around Europe, a lot of those small upper flights didn't have first class. Yeah.
No, they just one class the whole thing.
I remember being in somewhere like Strasbourg Airport, going from every operator from desk to desk, asking them if we could get on that flight. Have you got a flight going there? Yes. Have you got the seat available? No. I'll go to the next one. And I went back to him and said, "We can't do it, Gary. We can't get it." You know. And it had to be a jet plane, not prop, but not a turboprop. That would be jets, not turboprops.
I mean, I know a lot of rock stars have died in planes, but he was probably getting a little bit over concerned.
Yeah, and the thing is, with turboprops, you've got more chance of survival with turboprops.
Oh, yeah. They can glide in better.
Or air thing, where jets fall out the sky, you know.
That is it. Yeah, I mean, I know it, but they've all got their quirks, I guess, and that would make it very difficult if you're doing a long tour.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't last long with Gary. I've got to say, I thought, I can't be doing with this.
I mean, was it just that, or was he difficult in other ways, or not that we're going to spill the dirt?
Yeah, I don't want to go too into it. You know what I mean? I don't want to besmirch the guy in any way, you know, because he was a fantastic guitar player.
Oh, God,
and in the early days, we used to do a lot of shows with Thin Lizzy, you know, as well.
Indeed.
But when people have been, you think, hang on, enough is enough.
Yeah.
If you want to do this tour, if you want to do this, this is what you've got to do. No ifs or buts. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
I think he did cancel the tour. That's maybe why I left. You know, I think he might have cancelled the tour because he couldn't get his own way.
I know, and he was in and out of Thin Lizzy a few times. I guess not necessarily the easiest guy to work with in a band setting either. So
no,
not lead guitarists are.
Not when you've got the other people around you, you know.
So Brian, I'm going to go and see our good friend Tex Reed, and he actually worked for Thin Lizzy for a long time.
Yeah, you mentioned Tex, and
so he'll give you all the ins and outs of the boys.
we've got to do a show with Tex for sure. I mean, I'm a huge fan, a lover of Thin Lizzy in all their incarnations. And Phil, I mean, you guys met Phil many times at the Speakeasy and elsewhere. Apparently, he was the opposite from Gary, a lovely guy.
Yeah, Marky, the last time I saw him was going through Heathrow Airport. And I had Wilko here, and he's swearing his head off on me. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, what are all these women for? He goes, oh, I'm going to sign all these autographs. What are you doing? So I'm going through that door. Ronnie James is waiting for me. Next thing I knew, Phil walked out with me,
Wow.
And the publishers went absolutely berserk. Let's go. Follow that long-haired guy out that way, Ronnie James was like, Phil, how you doing, buddy? It was fantastic.
Just such a great world I mean, two of my idols, Ronnie James Dio and Phil Lynott, and just hanging out.
Well, you had a good talk to Willie Fife about it, I'm sure.
Oh, Willie and Colin, yeah, we had a great chat, Willie, about Ronnie and all the incarnations of bands he was in. And we'll be doing more of that with you guys too, and, various combinations of Rowdies.
Yeah.
But I'd love to do a whole Thin Lizzy. Yeah, thanks, Martin. A whole Thin Lizzy stream would be just awesome. Love those guys. I mean, Phil Lynott apparently, he was a lovely guy. Unlike
he was
fantastic.
Except he was always trying to pull our girlfriend.
And I bet he succeeded.
Ellen, here we go. Oh no, Ellen, you've got lips like rose petals. Just give me one kiss, darling. I go, Phil, I'm standing here. Can't you see I'm standing here in front of you? And you're saying, come on, with my girlfriend. You're hitting on my girlfriend in front of me. Oh, man, beautiful. And you couldn't be angry with him,
Well, we'll certainly save some of those tales for the Thin Lizzy show that we're all going to do, and we will be talking about the Sunset Strip next time. Hey, Patrick, the Chief, check out Patrick's shows on Pop Culture Minefield, Morning Coffee with the Chief. He's doing some great shows. Good to see you, Patrick. Thanks for dropping by. Just to wrap up, check out Rock and Roll Rowdies channel, everybody. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming on there soon, including live streams. Go check that out and subscribe. Nearly at the magic 500 mark, which things can happen on YouTube these days in terms of stuff you can do. Also, I'd like to plug Monday's show on my channel, that's 70s Rock Fan, with special guest Graham Bonnet. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you, Wilko and Mal, for interrupting your heavy schedule in Spain just to be here.
I've got to go and eat octopus and calamari now.
Yeah.
Octopussy, did you say, or octopus?
Octopussy. Something like
delicious.
that. Yeah. It's got long legs. I know that.
Indeed. Well, no, but it's been great seeing you guys. I will talk to you again in the next couple of days, obviously offline. But thank you very much for being here and sharing these wonderful stories.
Always a pleasure, Brian. Always a pleasure.
It's been real. Thanks again to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Dustin, John, and Martin. We love you all. Martin, I'm assuming one of you guys is going to hit button that says goodbye. So thanks again to Wilko and Mal. Take care. See you all soon. Keep on rocking.